First thing is, where do you go to hear our music? Our music is Afrobeats. We Nigerians know this. Apparently, Mr. Ayo doesn't know this. So this whole talk about, it's everybody's music and it's garbage. It's ridiculous talk. It is not everybody's music. It's specifically for one country, Nigeria.
The foundation of Afrobeats is from Ghana.
Finish him! Fatality. Bruce Lee wins.
All right. Welcome to Corporate Junky. I am your man, Corp J. And thank you all for joining me. Yes, Victor, we are on. Yes, we are on. Thank you all for joining this live show. We have a great show for you all today. Please make sure you're hitting the like button as you're coming in. Please hit the like button. Don't treat me like your mistress. Just hit the like button for me, man. All right, so I have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about wife Ayo Shonaiya, the director of the recently released documentary on Afrobeats, why he failed Nigerians. And I'm going to be giving you guys a lot of information about this. We're going to be having a candid conversation. This is also a call-in show. So I've dropped the link to the show into the chat. So make sure you can access if you do want to call in to discuss with me the topic or give a pointer or your 2 cents on what is discussed on this topic. You are welcome to do that at later on in the show. Okay, so we've got a lot to cover, and I want to get right into it because I want you guys to understand this. Okay. Now, just to give you all a reminder for some of you that may not know what I'm talking about, because I think if you've been following me and have been subscribed to my channel, you know I've talked about this. And so just a refresher course. Now, Ayo Shonaiya, who is a Nigerian, released a documentary a couple of months ago via Netflix. It was a Netflix documentary which he directed, in which he named it and called it Afrobeat: The Backstory. And so most people, when they hear that, what they think about is, here's a documentary is going to cover the history of Afrobeats. But that's not what this documentary really did. The documentary really did not cover the history of Afrobeat. As a matter of fact, the documentary only covered a certain timeline and a certain period in time, which is the 90s. That's what the documentary really focused on. It focused more on the new age artists, the artists that we have today. So it didn't cover, it's not a history in terms of where Afrobeat came from. It touched on it a little bit, but not in detail. So don't see that as a history of Afrobeat. That documentary is not a history of Afrobeat. It's more of a journey of the new wave sound, Afrobeats, and how that evolved in what we know today. Now, I also made mention in the documentary and my displeasure in what I thought was a disservice to the legacy of Fela as well as the legacy of Nigerians. I talked about it briefly in my past videos, and I talked about it on why I thought that Ayo, with due respect and respectfully, really disrespected, in my opinion, Nigerians and the legacy of Fela. Now, to be fair, In terms of when we talk about Afrobeats with an S, which is what this documentary really focused on, Ayo did not create the whole Afrobeats with an S. That was not his making. He didn't create it. He was not the one that coined it Afrobeats with an S. So that's not his doing. That was done by a bunch of individuals, as I mentioned already in my past video, in the United Kingdom, in the UK. But what I hold him responsible for is that he sort of perpetuated the whole idea of this whole S thing. He promotes it, and not just promoting it. Okay, so I don't have a problem with Afrobeats with an S. What I do have a problem with, in which I hold this individual responsible for, is it sort of denies Nigeria the credit of Afrobeats and sort of merges everyone together. So it gives the impression that Afrobeats represents the entire continent, which is how we have it right now, right? So Afrobeats with an S is not just Nigeria. It is something that every country in Africa lay claim to, right? And that's what I have a problem with, because it denies us, Nigerians who created Afrobeat, deny us the credit of that. And so to put that in his documentary and to further promote that is where I hold him responsible. So I'm going to talk to you guys about why that action and behavior denies Nigeria and steals and robs Nigeria of his legacy. Because do understand that it is a legacy. Okay? Our music is our legacy. I'm going to play for you guys a series of interviews. And I'm going to replay the little clip from Afrobeat, the backstory. You know, I'm going to replay. I played it at the beginning of this stream, but I'm going to replay it again for those of you that may have not seen it. So you know exactly, you have context to what I'm talking about. I want you to hear it from him. And what you're going to hear, and what I disagree with, is that he credits Ghana for the creation of Afrobeats. Understand, and let me be clear, that is totally false. Ghana did not create Afrobeat or Afrobeats. It is not a Ghanaian creation. Okay, understand that. And I've talked about this in my past video, and I'm going to touch on it again on this stream. It is not a Ghanaian creation. Ghana did not create Afrobeats. So it is irresponsible, with all due respect to Mr. Ayo, who I admire, and I appreciate his really kind of taking this task on. But if you're going to tell our story, you need to tell our story properly, okay? Because it is a legacy, all right? No one takes their country's legacy or takes their legacy of a particular people and just mishandle it. You need to be very careful what you put out there. And so it is not Ghana. Ghana played a role, as well as many others played a role. Juju music played a role in the creation of Afrobeat, Fela's Afrobeats, funk, jazz. So Ghana alone, or High Life, is not the only thing that played a role in Afrobeat. There were a lot of other songs that inspired the creation of Afrobeats and also Afrobeats. Okay, so understand that, right? So that's where I have a problem with Mr. Ayo, because he puts it out there and creates now this, what I would call a conflict, where it further divides and takes away from Nigeria. And that is my problem with this. You know, and I want you to hear, and I'm going to play this series and I'm going to talk to you guys about it. And then I'm going to open up the channel for you guys to please call in and let's have a candid conversation. Because when you think of Nigeria, and here's the problem I have about this. It is okay for people to label Nigeria as a corrupt country. It is okay for people to point out the bad things about that country. But when that country now finds and develops their own music, right? Now they have a problem. They want to merge it with the entire continent and say, this is a continent music. This is our music. This is for the continent of Africa. No, it is not. Afrobeats is Nigerian's creation. It's Nigeria. Okay? Yes, Nigeria represents Africa. Nigeria makes Africa proud, and we are so very glad about that. But to lump everyone in and to lump the entire continent into a music genre and say any music coming out from that continent is Afrobeat is where I have a problem with that. Because where is Nigeria's music in that then? Where is our legacy in that? Because anyone from, let's say, Kenya, from Congo, right? The way this is now being marketed and the way the world has now taken this and they're running with this is now it takes away from our country and our legacy and the legacy of Fela to where now, if music coming from Congo is Afrobeat. Now I'm sure Congolese would not like that. I'm sure a lot of Kenyans won't like that either. Most especially Nigerians, right? Because I would like to make sure that if Afrobeats with an S is what most people recognize to be Nigeria, because Nigerian artists are dominating, then it needs to stay Nigerian, right? That means when anyone talks about Afrobeats, or they stream it, or they look for it on the streaming platform like Spotify or Pandora or whatever, it needs to be understood that that's Nigerian music. And so they need to create another opportunity for Ghana to come up with their music, high life mixed with pop, whatever they want to call it, that's fine with me. Because when you think of Afrobeats, the reason why Afrobeats with an S was created, which I vehemently disagree with. I disagree with that whole thing. The reason why that was created was because the understanding is it takes into consideration the fact that Fela's music has now evolved to where it's the flavor of that has merged with pop culture. And so to differentiate pop culture and this new sound from Fela music, they decided to put an S to it, which it's ridiculous, but fine, let's use that argument. So if that's the case, so if we're recognizing Afrobeats as Fela's music merged with pop culture, then that's Nigeria. That's Nigeria's music. Okay? Now, if you want to call Ghanaian music, then they need to go find where they put tweet, right? And merge it with their pop culture, and they need to call that something else. They need to find a name to call that, right? Because Fela is not tweet, right? I mean, that's not it, right? Fela is Nigerian. And so if you're creating Afrobeat on the basis that it is Fela and pop, then Afrobeat is Nigeria. Then that's with an S. I'm good with that. But that's not what's going on. That's not what's going on. What's happening is that what they're marketing and what this documentary has also helped to do and promote, which you're going to hear it from Ayo himself, is that Afrobeat is an African music. No. Yes, it's partly is, but no, it's Nigerian music. Understand that. Okay? And Nigeria is in Africa, we get that. So Nigeria represents Africa, but it's not Nigerian music. There's no other time in history where one music genre, and I said it again, when one music genre represents an entire continent. So the idea that Nigeria now, Nigerians, Afrobeats, somehow is representing the entire continent, it's a delusion. It's a robbing of that legacy, because any one of those countries can claim it. Okay, so that's the point I'm trying to drive here. So I want you guys to hear my gripe with Mr. Ayo on his documentary, and I'm going to play it for those of you that didn't hear it, and I'm going to play a series of other interviews that I think that is really telling on this, and we're going to dissect it, and we're going to have a great conversation respectfully, because this is a very passionate conversation, and it should be, because you're talking about our legacy here. You're talking about our legacy, mine's, yours, every Nigerian's legacy. You're talking about our pride, something that we all are proud of. So you should be passionate. Every other community is passionate about their legacy. And we shouldn't be so easy to just sell that down the road. We shouldn't be so quick to go ahead and share that. We can share with people, but we shouldn't be so quick to sort of like credit others and say, hey, we wouldn't be here if it were not for you. We wouldn't have this music if you didn't give it to us. That's a problem for me. Okay, so take a listen to his. Let's watch this real quickly.
And I have to make this clear. I say this without any fear. That Afrobeats is our music. And when I say our music, it belongs to us, Africans. We invented that genre. And really, I believe that we have to protect it. As this genre is now going global, we have to protect it. It's like reggae. Everybody knows reggae comes from Jamaica. There's no discussion. There's no story. You understand? So Afrobeats is from Nigeria and Ghana. More so Ghana. Because I have to be honest with even though I'm Nigerian, I have to be honest with what I'm saying. The foundation of Afrobeats is from Ghana.
All right. So you heard that, right? Okay. So that's my problem with this. Is that he makes a claim that it is from Ghana. No, Afrobeat is not from Ghana. Okay? Afrobeats is not from Ghana. And to put that out there is irresponsible. To put that information like that out there is irresponsible, because what that says is that Ghana handed Fela the formula for Afrobeats. Right? That's what he's saying. That's exactly what that is. That Fela somehow went to Ghana, and you hear a lot of Ghanaians make this ridiculous claim because they can't stand that Nigeria has really evolved in this music thing, right? So they make this claim, and there's nowhere there's no documentation, there's nowhere in history where that is the case. You will never find any credible history where Fela went to Ghana, learned Afrobeats in Ghana, and came back to Nigeria. You will never find that. What you're going to find is that Fela went to London to study in London. Fela was influenced by, the events that happened around the struggles that African Americans were going through in this country. Fela was influenced by the civil rights era, the civil rights struggle. Came back home to see his country go through a lot of, country has just been formed. Nigeria has just gotten its independence. And Fela saw what was going on. Fela was born in Nigeria. He was influenced by juju music. He was influenced by Fuji music, Yoruba music. He was influenced by that, as well as high life. So all these make up what Fela saw as an inspiration to create, as well as jazz, by the way. So all of these influenced Fela to create his own to form his own music, which as Afrobeat. For him to say that, for a Nigerian to say that, I would like to know where he got that from. Because that's an irresponsible statement to make. It's not based on facts. It's not based on anything credible. As a matter of fact, he discredited himself when he said that. That single statement denies Nigeria that legacy. And we're not going to let it happen. To my point earlier on, when I say that people are comfortable, this is a problem where you'll find, and we need to begin addressing this and really fighting for this, because that's the legacy that your kids, my children, those that come after us are going to hang their hat on. And that's what has other culture. This is what other cultures and communities, that's why they're different from us. Is that when you find these other communities, and I'm not going to mention these communities, but we know who they are. Right? I'm not going to mention them because it's not about them. This is about us. Okay? If you ever try to disrespect or take away from their legacy, from what they created, and try to give that to somebody else, I guarantee you're not going to have a job out here. You're not going to have a job. You're going to be economically bankrupt because they're not going to let you do it, because it's an insult to those that came before you and to those that gave you the legacy in which now you want to now disrespect. Okay? So that is not true. You will never find anything that supports that. You will never find anything that supports that. And so understand that documentary, it's one man's opinion. As I mentioned this in my past video, it's just his opinion. And I'm going to play an interview for you right now where he tells you that. Okay? Understand that a lot of Nigerians also disagree with him on this. They disagree with him on this. And he knows this. This is why the clip I just played for you was the last few minutes, okay, of episode 12 of this documentary. The last few minutes, I would say the last 3 minutes of episode 12. If you've ever seen the document, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The last 3 minutes. You know why he did that? Do you know why he did that? Because he didn't want to lose Nigerian audience by putting that garbage right up front or the beginning of the episode, because he knew that. Because understand that prior to the production of this documentary, he had a series of interviews where most people knew where he was going with this, and they disagreed with him, which I'm about to play for you also. So he knew, and of course, it's a strategy that perhaps he and Netflix came to an agreement and say, hey, hold on a second. This is a touchy subject. You're going to get a backlash, and people are not going to be happy that you're going to say something like that. So he puts that at the end of it, so you can watch the entire documentary to get to the end of the documentary, right? But we're not going to let you do it, okay? Because right now, I know your thought. What happens to season 2? You think I'm going to watch season 2? Because season 2 is a bunch of garbage. You don't get to say that. It is your responsibility to protect your legacy, to protect the legacy of fella. So that's my problem. So let me just play this for you guys, and let's have a good conversation on this again, all right? So I want you guys to hear the interview.
Filmmaker, artist management consultant, and the producer of Afrobeats, The Backstory, Nigeria's first documentary on Afrobeats music on Netflix. Welcome to the program, Mr. Shonaiya.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
To the program, and congrats on Afrobeats, The Backstory.
Yes.
You know, it's Nigeria's first on Netflix, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
that's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
For you as a filmmaker, or
not only on Netflix, it's the first documentary on Afrobeats, like to be like extensive like that, and being on Netflix is the icing on the cake.
Let's pick it from the title, the name that you gave to that documentary, the Afrobeats
Backstory.
The Backstory.
Yes.
What does that even mean? Is this about your encounter with the evolution of this type of music over a certain period?
Yes.
Or are you basically saying that this is my own worldview of Afrobeat? Because people will, I believe, will to some extent come at you and say that it's either you have not told the entire story, or that this story seems to be about your own worldview of Afrobeat. What's the backstory in this documentary?
It is my story. There's no complete story of Afrobeats because I wasn't there from the beginning to where it is now. I can only tell you from when I came in, and that was 1999. Of course, I would do some research and go back.
Okay, so understand what he just said. This is his story. Okay, so understand that. So just because they labeled it as documentary doesn't mean it's the actual documentary of facts. Okay, there are a lot of inconsistencies in this documentary. So it is his worldview. It is his vision. It's his opinion. Okay, so understand that. So let's see what's his opinion and how how this opinion came to be. All right. Okay. Please hit the like button. There's quite a few people that are watching. Don't treat me like a stepchild. Hit the like button. If you're enjoying the show, please hit the like button and give it a shout out. And let's keep going.
So that leading into my 99, but really it's about 99 and 2019.
Of course, I watched the entire 12 episodes, and I could see that quite a number of the big names, Tiwa, Simi, Davido, even Uncle Benson, Olamide, even Uncle Benson Idonije, who spoke, the grandfather of Burna Boy. They are like, I'm not sure that while they may not mind it, they are not sold on the idea of calling what they are doing Afrobeats. And I know that 4 years ago, you were not an apostle of that name. But then all of a sudden, what do you think that this name will do for us. Without it, we have won the Grammy. Without it, we are filling all the major concert venues.
I would say without it, we have won the Grammy.
Because
Afrobeats was part of the reason why they are focusing on our artists for them to get to a point where they are winning the Grammy.
Focusing on the music that we are playing.
The name.
Not the name that it is called.
The name is important.
But the name is also beginning to sell. There's a sellability to Afrobeats as just a genre on its own. Some people might not even understand what it is, but they just know, it's
because
this
a lot of
new
people
genre
think
coming out
that
of Africa.
this is probably like...
So that is a great point, right? The point that was made by the gentleman that's interviewing him says that the music is what people are focused on. They don't care about the name, right? The music, the sound of it, the flavor, the melody. That's what people care about. They're not recognizing this music based on the fact that we call it Afrobeats, right? Now, I get also that it's important to have a name behind it. It's important to have some kind of a label behind your product. It's important, right? It's easy for categorization. It's easy for you to be to sell that. I understand that, all right? I've been in marketing for over 20 years, so I get that. Now, what I don't get is that this labeling of Afrobeats with the S, right, is not seen as a Nigerian music. It is seen as African music. That is my issue. Okay? Because Fela's music, Afrobeat, is Nigerian. Right? So now, how do we go from Afrobeat, which is Nigeria, right, creation, to the Afrobeats, which is now world music? How does that happen? Okay, so that is the part that I disagree with him. Without prejudice, really disagree with him on that. And so that's the part that he fails to understand. And now here he is rationale regarding that.
The new Fela thing, because Afrobeat is associated with Fela. And you can't deny the fact that even how many years now that Fela has been gone?
1997, 25.
25 years. The Fela dynasty is still thriving.
Oh yeah.
Femi is there, Shane is there, Madi Kuti joined, nominated jointly, father and son, for the Grammy. So for me, it is sometimes people miss the S. But then
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why in episode 11 of my documentary, Afrobeats documentary, Afrobeats the backstory, the first part was Afrobeat without the S, where we got Uncle Benson Idonije, Tony Allen, God bless his soul, to give us that lecture. Even up to Ghana people, what's the guy from Teddy Osei, from Osibisa, to break it down. And then the second part is Afrobeats with the S, you understand, to let us know what characteristics are in this Afrobeat. Coming back to the naming, we need the identifier. Me and you have had this argument before. It's not an identification, it's an identifier. Identifier for me means that, first of all, let us have, before we now start breaking things down, let us have like an umbrella name. Because if everybody is saying Afro pop, Afro reggae, Afro, Simi was even funny. Simi the singer. Simi was like, so I'll call my own Afro gentle. So everybody will now start to call themselves their Afrofusion.
Afrofusion. Why do you want to deny him that?
No. I'm not denying him. No, I'm not denying him.
His music.
I'm not denying him. He can call it Afrofusion. I don't agree with it. Afrofusion sounds like a question. Afrofusion sounds like fusion with what? It's like if I say my song is Afrofusion, it should now be like.
Okay, so to give you guys a quick rundown, and just in case you're not hearing it properly, he's making the argument that that we need an umbrella name to classify all of the music that we are getting. That's what he's saying. That's the argument he's making. Now, I don't know where he has been, but we already have an umbrella music genre. It's called Afrobeats, right? Okay, so if you're saying that Afrobeat is Fela, if you're saying that Afrobeat is Fela and the new sound that we're hearing right now is obviously different from Fela, great, I can concede to that. But do you, just like I mentioned in my previous video, do you have to change the name Afrobeats to Afrobeats? You can still say Afrobeats, and we can all understand that the music has evolved. And so when we trace back the origin of Afrobeats, we can always trace that it started from Fela Kuti. and it can still stay Afrobeat. That would be the umbrella of whatever else you want to put under it. If you call it Afrofusion, fine. If you want to call it Afropop, fine. It's under the umbrella of Afrobeat, not Afrobeats. And Afrobeat represents Nigerian music. That's how everyone does it. That's how everyone does it. Right? Right.
Fusion with what? It's like a question. You understand? Afrobeats.
His explanation is that Afrobeats it's a fusion of different influences.
That's what I'm saying. That Afrofusion sounds like a question. Like, you know, it doesn't sound like a name. It sounds like Afrofusion, or, you know, it needs to be continued. Afrobeats is African beats, just like Sunny Ade had African beats. Afrobeats
That's the
is
thing.
African beats.
But then you won't accept Sunny Ade as part of Afrobeats, even though he was king of African beats. Had been on cover of Time, had been nominated
Why
for
would I
Grammy.
not accept him as Afrobeats?
But it's not part of what is being promoted. That is juju, isn't it?
I know, but this documentary is my point of view. You understand? This documentary is my story. It just so happens that it happened at the same time when Afrobeats with the S was developing. That's what
How
I'm saying.
important is this term, the identifier you just mentioned?
Because of issues like streaming. If you go to a platform, you understand a streaming platform, whether it's one of the streaming whether it's Boomplay, like exactly. So you need a category to go, because when you open the interface, you will see all those different genres. So imagine now that we have Afrofusion. So we have Burna Boy and we have people that want to be in the Afrofusion class.
Before now, where will you go to get our music on a streaming platform? Which category will you click
Yeah,
on?
but that's the thing. You go to world music. What is world music? What is world music?
But that's where we still get our Grammys from.
Fine, but what is world music? Because in that Grammy, they will now put drummers from Costa.
See? Did you hear that part? I'm going to play that part out. That is the most important question out of this entire interview. That one single question asked by this gentleman is the most important question out of this entire interview. Where do you go to hear our music? Yeah, where do you go to get music that Nigerian artists, right, from Nigeria are putting out? Because what he's saying is Afrobeats is a category, and if you want to hear African music, you go to Afrobeats. Nigerians are not Ghanaians. Nigerians are not Cameroonians. Nigerians are not South Africans. And South Africans will tell you that their song is not Afrobeats. They'll tell you, and Ghanaians, even while Ghana tries to copy Nigerian style and try to kind of, which I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. Just make sure you give credit back to Nigeria. That's all I don't care. Right? But they'll tell you that their style of music, even people from Congo will tell you, Kenyans will tell you their style of music is not Afrobeat. But what he's promoting and what many people have put is they've labeled every country in Africa as Afrobeat. So where do you go to hear specifically and try to give credit back to Nigerian artists as Afrobeats? No, right? Because if we're going to use Afrobeats for Nigeria, then it needs to stay Nigerian owned, which it's what it is, right? I totally believe that Afrobeats is Nigerian owned, right? But then, so Ghanaians can't claim that their song is Afrobeats. Kenyans can't claim that their song is Afrobeats, right? And so that is the issue. So this gentleman just asked him a very, very important question. So here's his response on this.
Costa Rica, along, in the same category with some.
What is this term, the identifier you just mentioned?
Because of issues like streaming. If you go to a platform, you understand a streaming platform, whether it's one of the streaming whether it's Boomplay, like exactly. So you need a category to go, because when you open the interface, you will see all those different genres. So imagine now that we have Afrofusion. So we have Burna Boy and we have people that want to be in the Afrofusion class.
Before now, where will you go to get our music on a streaming platform? Which category will you click on?
Yeah, but that's the thing. You go to world music. What is world music? What is world music?
But that's where we still get our Grammys from.
Fine, but what is world music? Because in that Grammy, they will now put drummers from Costa Rica along, in the same category with some Swedish. It's almost like world music is a basket where they put genres that have no name.
Okay. So there's a lot to unpack on that. So let's unpack that. So the first thing, as I mentioned, the first thing is, where do you go to hear our music? Our music is Afrobeats. We get that, right? Our music is Afrobeats and Afrobeats, right? We Nigerians know this. Apparently, Mr. Ayo doesn't know this, or he's at least following corporate interests. I talked about corporate interest in my last video in promoting the idea that Afrobeats represent the entire genre. You see, and he uses reggae to defend his point, right? So let's talk about that. Reggae does not represent the entire Caribbean. Reggae does not represent the entire West Indies. No, it does not. Reggae represents Jamaica. So to use that as an argument is ridiculous. Reggae does not represent the entire Caribbean island. It's Jamaica. Hip hop doesn't represent the entire black race. It's African American culture. I can go on and on and on. So why in the world should there be a different standard for Nigerian music, Afrobeat music? So if you want to, it's not that hard for the streaming platforms to do that. It's not hard. You want to hear Ghanaian music and they have a different flavor? Boom. They have a genre they can call their music. Maybe it's called, I don't know what it's called, right? It's not that hard. And every artist from Ghana can be placed underneath that umbrella of that music. It's not that difficult. While Afrobeats, if that's what we're calling Nigeria's new flavor, fine. That's only Nigeria. So this whole talk about, it's everybody's music and it's garbage. It's ridiculous talk. It is not everybody's music. It's specifically for one country, Nigeria. So that's the issue with this gentleman. And I think that when he now makes a statement that Afrobeat comes from Ghana, that is a false statement, and people like that should not be taken seriously. Because guess what? There was another artist. You remember Mr. Easy? Remember in 2017? Came out saying the same garbage that this guy is saying. And remember the backlash Mr. Easy got for this. Remember that? Because Nigerians ain't having that. To where he now had to come out and apologize. He came out to retract the statement and all of that stuff. But where is his career right now? Mr. Easy was once a promising artist. But he also fell into this whole nonsense where he was attempting to take away Nigeria's legacy by giving it to another country, Ghana. See, I don't have a problem with Ghana. I understand that. I'm talking about legacy here. I'm talking about legacy. Something that your children and my kids can hang our hat on and say, hey, our forefathers founded that. Our people founded that. That's what I'm talking about. So I don't have a problem. If Ghana's music comes out tomorrow to be celebrated, I'll celebrate their music and I'll give credit to them. I'll give credit to them. And I'm not going to say stuff ridiculous like, oh, we founded Ghana's music and try to dilute their glory. No. Right? And that should not be. See, we're the only ones. We're the only ones that try to chip in our legacy. We're the only ones that sell it. You need to protect it. You need to say, no, it is ours. And everyone that says anything otherwise needs to really be shunned. We need to become a people where you can't just come in and steal from us. It's okay for you to call us corrupt and everyone that goes along with it. It's okay for you to say, oh, we don't have our shit together, and everyone is okay with that. It's okay to say, oh, that country has too much leadership problem, and we know. It's okay. Everyone accepts that. But it's not okay for you to give us our glory when it comes to something that we worked hard to create. Now we got to share it with everybody and call it our music, African music. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Right? These artists are working really hard to make this thing. They're working really hard. And to steal that from them or from us, it's not going to work. Right? Because I would imagine Fela will be rolling in his grave right now if he hears someone saying his music came from Ghana. I would imagine Fela will be rolling in his grave right now. Like, what the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? So maybe the British government can come and lay claim and say, hey, because Fela at one point, maybe they can do that too. Who knows? Maybe they can come and lay claim because Fela went to London to study music. Wow. We also created Afrobeats. Now, see, they won't do stupid stuff like that. They won't do stupid stuff like that. Because they know that that's not how that works. So, because Fela was in Ghana playing his music at one point, so he stepped foot in that country at one point. So that means, and he was influenced by that genre, so that means what? That Ghana, what about jazz? Maybe those ones can lay claims too and say, hey, we founded this thing too. Maybe they can do that. Maybe hip hop also. Maybe, right? Why not? Because you've just opened it up for everyone. So that's my issue. We need to really, and a guy like this gentleman, who should have used this as an opportunity to tell Nigerian story and make Nigerian proud, really failed Nigeria and Nigerians with this documentary. See, I don't watch documentary for the fluff. I watch it for facts and I watch it for truth. And he had no right to make that statement, especially when he did not give a background of Afrobeat. You heard it from him. He just started from a particular point, 1990, the 90s. So how do you now make a claim of something that existed that was way predates, that predates the era that he focused on? Something way back in the 1960s, 1965, 1970, something that far back. How do you now make a claim that Ghana, that music comes from Ghana, when none of your documentary covered that? You didn't give no factual information to support that. And you will never find anything, by the way, that supports that. You will never find anything. It's just baseless claims that people make out there in an attempt to steal from this country. And we're not going to let it, because we've found success in this, and we're not going to let him or anyone outside of him, maybe in Ghana, maybe in the West, we're not going to let it happen. Right? And every time he comes out and says, make statement like this, I will be sure to debunk it, and I will be sure to call him out on it. Right? So that is my issue. So before I open up the call lines, because I want you guys to, let me see if you want to come up, click on the link, and let's have a conversation about this. Do you agree with me that Mr. Ayo Shonaiya failed Nigerians with this? Do you agree with me? Or do you disagree with me? Please, come on. And if you disagree with me, tell me why. And if you agree with me, tell me why. Okay? Or what are your thoughts even with the entire Afrobeats and Afrobeats? Right? Now, lastly, before I even open up the lines and before I start taking calls on this, is we're very, very proud of the new Black Panther movie that's coming out. Black Panther 2, the sequel of it. Thames, No Woman, No Cry, her version of it is what's used. It's one of the soundtracks that is used for that, and I think that's a huge recognition to Afrobeats artists in Nigeria. I talked about this. I said that this is just the beginning of this, right? I talked about how this is just the beginning, that the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit, The legacy of Fela, which now is something that the world is enjoying, is going to change the trajectory for Nigeria. And other African countries are going to gain from it too. But the country is going to change with this. Because if you look back in history, music is the one thing, is one factor or one cultural element that has brought recognition to a lot of people. It's brought recognition to a lot. It brought recognition to the West, to the United States. It brought recognition to individual demographics in this country. Music is one thing that really brings people together. It helps us forget what our beef is. It helps us to forget what our struggles, and we can escape for a few moments because of music. We can come together. We can sing each other's and celebrate each other's culture because of music. It really expands the opportunities. It expands it. You have to understand what you have. You have to know what you have. It's not just it sounds great. It's great that it sounds great, but it's a story of your culture. It's a story of your lineage. It's a story of where you come from. It's music. And Nigerians have to protect that. You know, Afrobeats is ours. We're happy to share with the world. We're happy to represent Africa with it. But make no mistake about it. It is Nigerian music. We can collaborate with other countries, you know, and I'm happy to see these artists do this. You know, I'm happy to see this with South Africa. I'm happy to see it even with Ghanaians. I'm happy to see Nigerians collaborate with these countries. But that music and that flavor, because it's Nigerian creation, is Nigerian music. You know, it's just because we collaborate doesn't mean. Quick point on that. When Nigerian artists collaborate with, let me step back for a second. When hip hop artists collaborate with pop artists, let's say for example Beyonce, okay, collaborates with who do we have out there? What pop artists can I think about? Female pop artists. Let's say Christina Aguilera. You know, can't think of anyone other than, you know. Is it hip hop or is it pop? If Beyonce is featuring Christina Aguilera in her music, does that become pop music or does that become hip hop or R&B? Let me give you another one for you guys to think about. If Jay-Z collaborates with Tim McGraw, is that country music or is it hip hop? Because if you say country music, you'll be wrong. If you say hip hop, it'll be right. Because Tim McGraw is being featured in Jay-Z's music. That will not be country music, right? If Tim McGraw comes up with the music and features Jay-Z in the music, that will not be hip hop. It'll be country music. So it matters who creates the music. It matters who owns the music. That's why they call it featuring artists. So if Nigerian artists feature Ghanaian artists, it doesn't make it Ghanaian music. It doesn't mean that this is something that we need to spar off. No, it's Nigerian music. It's Afrobeats. Be done with the damn thing. Right? Okay. All right. So if you want to come up, this is the time to do it. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll come right back to this.
It's not my fault. You've been lying, saying that I took away your peace. Drowning by yourself, now you wanna blame me. Like you have no options. I ain't take your options. Now I'm not the problem. Man, that's on you. You've been terrorizing me, yeah, I'm always wrong. I knew you lost your mind when you dropped that bomb. Girl, are you crazy? Yeah, you must be crazy. I've been thinking lately it's you. You stole your peace, put it on me. Baby, it's you. Lie like a lie, but take your stuff back. Baby, it's and I would never. You've been flexing everywhere, girl. Look in the mirror, man. You so dirty. Yeah, you look so dirty.
All right, if you want to come up, the link is in the chat. You're going to need to be on camera.
Put it on me, but baby, it's lie like alright, but take your stuff back, baby, it's you. Baby, it's you. Control the weather, then every day would rain on your parade. Shine, you can't shit, yeah. If I was Father Time, then I would change the day. So I never saw your face. What do I have to do?
All right. Let's get this show going. All right. What's your name and where are you calling from? Thank you for calling. Let's get you. Let's see here. Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic.
Hello.
Yes. Welcome to the show.
Hi, my name is. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Yinka. Again.
Hey Yinka, how are you? Welcome to the show. What do you think about what I said on the on the opening?
I agree with you regarding what Mr. Ayo did. That he really messed up. Because when we look at the beginning of Afrobeats, we all know that it's Fela. And one thing that was missing in the whole interview that he did was the family. Femi is there. I've forgotten the name of the other son of Fela. They are all there. But they weren't called to be part of this interview where they were talking about their father's legacy.
Oh, that's a good point, Yinka. That's a great point. So, as a matter of fact, in the documentary, he actually says it. He said that Sheung and his sister disagree with him, as well as the whole labeling of the S on the Afrobeat because it takes away from their father. That the only one that agreed with this was Femi, who is the oldest one, right? And Femi is an easygoing person. So he's not looking for, but the other two siblings disagree with him on this. And he says that in the documentary. So that's a great point.
Okay. So with that being said, I really believe that that is the only thing we can do now is to control the narrative for ourselves. Because if you look at the foundation of Afrobeat, is with freedom fighting and Pan-Africanism. So that is just the foundation. And Afrobeat is a cocktail, or I can call it a blend of different flavors. So you cannot say, okay, it belongs to one flavor, now claim ownership of it. It's not possible. it is a blend. Like you have your, some use Jamaican type of song. I mean, music in it. Some have the hip life or whatever they call it. So it's a combination. So it's not owned by any other person, but by Nigerians. It's
Correct.
a movement.
Correct. And you know what's interesting about that, and to that point also.
Yeah.
To that point also is when you think of other music genres, right? Every music genre uses other blends of other music genre to make their music genre. It's something that everyone does. It's not a new thing, right? You've seen hip hop artists collaborate with Sean Paul, right? You've seen that happen, and then Sean Paul has had a mix of hip hop and blended it with reggae, but it's still called hip hop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So Jamaicans are not, and no other Trinidad and Tobago or any other Caribbean island isn't going to claim Jamaicans reggae music as their own just because it's incorporates some of their elements. They're not. It's because it's Jamaican. It's reggae. So Nigerian artists are free to collaborate and mix and blend any flavor they want to see fit. They are free to do that.
Yes.
It's okay. It's a way to incorporate and really involve every other culture into your culture. It's fine to do that. But you cannot have countries in Africa claiming that as their own just because it incorporates everyone else. No, it's Nigerian music, and you can't take it away from Nigeria.
No, you can't. I think when the work started, nobody came out to claim it. But now that the results are coming, then we started hearing voices. Oh no, we own it's ours. It belongs to us. They stole it from us. I mean, trying to put out this type of narrative is a very dangerous thing to do.
It is.
And it's not only limiting themselves, because when we Nigerians outside of Nigeria, we see African music as African music. We are willing to listen to any type of music so far it's good. But when you now try to steal from somebody and claim that it's yours now, then it's something else. Because why don't you claim why don't you claim the corruption too?
That's a good point.
Why don't you claim the bad leaders? Because they were quick to point out, oh no, there's too much corruption in Nigeria. Yeah, it is Nigeria. If it's bad, yes, they are quick to ascribe the honor to us. But when it's good, they want to take it.
That's correct.
I mean, that is unfair. That is stealing. That is disrespectful to all the work that people have put in to bring it to this point. And that is an insult. So I think going forward, I mean, people like Ayo, I hope Mr. Ayo, I hope he's listening to this. We are not happy with this because we know the amount of work that has been put in. So we can't just sell out our birthright to somebody that never lifted a finger.
That's correct. And I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your comment. I'm going to go ahead and let me bring somebody else in, but thank you so much for your contribution on this.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, unmute yourself. Victor?
Are you listening?
Hey, Victor.
Compliment of the day to everyone.
Hey, how are you? Welcome to the show.
To you.
Yeah.
I'm very happy you are doing this. Thank God I am participating directly and live. First and foremost, let me give kudos to Ayo for at least trying to put something or putting something as documentary, as he called it. And I want to also agree that that is his own view. That is his own view. I also told someone.
Hey, Victor, you still there? I think we might have lost you there. But call back in once you have your mic set. But to Victor's point.
I can't stop it. That is his own personal opinion. And his own personal opinion will never be able to override 101 plus million opinion. It is absolutely so disrespectful to Fela, our own dear Fela, for him to have given that to Ghana.
It is.
What song was Fela playing in 1977 when he sang Zombie?
And that's a good point. That is exactly a good point.
what when he wants to come up with this documentary, I would have expected, if you click online, you will see a whole lot of documentary in respect of Fela. Then go listen to all those documentaries, then you will find out how this Afrobeat gen came up. I remember when this current Nigerian good Afrobeat musician were coming up, someone like Burna Boy. I remember when he was giving everything to Fela, who started it. And I also remember how some families of Fela are saying that a whole lot of them are copying the dad. And we also agree to that. Now, what I want to tell Ghanaians and some other country, are you listening? What I wanted to tell Ghanaians and some other countries is that someone can be inspired to do a song. Nigerians are doing good Amapiano songs now. We never claim to owning Amapiano. We know it's South African. And we don't even own High Life, because I grew up knowing and hearing High Life. I don't even know it's Ghanaian, but I grew up to understand it's Ghanaian. And we never claim it. And I don't know this battle about Afrobeat. I don't know why I don't understand why the Afrobeat with S and Afrobeat without S. I can't. If you want to pluralize it, that does not take the fact that it belongs to Nigeria.
That's correct. So if I may, real quickly, and you're absolutely right. I for one, don't agree with us having an S to something that was already there, right? And I mentioned this already in my past videos, but I can concede to the argument that we're trying to differentiate from Fela's sound, and so we added the S. Okay, fine. If you want to do that, great. But you also have to make sure and drive the point that Afrobeats with an S, which emerged from Afrobeat, which is Fela's music, is only Nigerian music. That is Nigerian sound and Nigerian owned, right? That's the part that everyone needs to understand this. No, so when Ayo says, "Oh, just because Nigerians have made it popular and they've really kind of packaged it properly, it's not Nigerian owned, it's world music and it's African music," it is nonsense. It is nonsense, because Afrobeats with the S, is Nigerian music genre, not Twi. It is not Twi. It is not Makossa. It is not Amapiano. It is Afrobeat. So any Nigerian that's going to make statement on this needs to drive that point, needs to drive that's important element, that Afrobeat with the S or without the S is Nigerian owned, period.
Another thing, I also asked Ghanaian, and I'm going to ask them again, play me an Afrobeat from the 70s you have as a Ghanaian. Play me an Afrobeat from the 60s that you have as a Ghanaian. And give me any documentary or anywhere, anybody that is playing that sound, say this is an Afrobeat. So that at least you can have one good point to show that you own this beat. And I can play you Fela's songs from the 60s, how this started. That Fela went to Ghana for the reasons that is not even to study music, right. Does not mean he learned Afrobeat from Ghana.
That's correct. That's exactly correct.
Stated from the past editions that a Ghanaian helped towards giving that name does not mean the Ghanaian that gave the man sang Afrobeat.
And that is, and thank you for saying that, because I mentioned this on my past, in my past video. Just because you gave something a name does not mean you own it. Right?
And I'm surprised.
It doesn't. I mean, it's for anyone to use that as a claim argument is the most uneducated and the most discreditable thing you could ever say. And I use the example of, if you have your child and you have your friend name your kid or suggest the name to give your kid, you need to hand over that child to that kid, to your friend, that because they gave your child a name, they own your child. I don't think anyone's going to do that. You know? So just simply giving a name does not mean anything. We recognize that the name suggestion came from a Ghanaian, and the only reason we only recognize and concede to this, because we are credible people and we are very reasonable people, is because Tony Allen said it. Now, Tony Allen also said a whole lot of things.
Exactly.
Right. Right? But we can give it credit. We can give a lot of credit to that because he said that. But that does not mean that when Fela was cooking this music, when he was making it, when he was putting that together, that he was living in Ghana, or he somehow learned that whole thing in Ghana. There's no factual evidence that will suggest that. None.
None?
None.
None at all. And I also feel it gave a very big disservice to the older gens of Nigerian musicians when he said Afrobeat actually took root or started popularizing in the 90s. And I was like,
no.
When was this? Where were the Kenny's FM that brought this youth out? I mean, Kenny's music. He never gave credit to the older generations. He never did. He had forgotten the Christocote of those days. He had forgotten them. That Nigerians have been cooking this song.
Yep.
And when Fela started, and when we lost Fela, the children have started making Afrobeat. And so many Nigerians, it was when Nigeria started doing it properly, like Fela, that this genre of music gained ground. We left the pop, we left
That's
everything,
right.
And we are now using our own sound.
That's exactly right.
Our own languages.
That's exactly right.
Our own. We started using our own pidgin English.
That's exactly right.
That was when this gained popularity. And for once, if Ghanaians are even doing it in their country, so many of their countrymen will criticize them by saying, why do you want to sound Nigerian? Why are they saying that?
And that's exactly that's exactly right.
People sounding Nigerian.
Right, and that's exactly right. So I think that right. I think you're absolutely right on that point, because most of you look at the artists, and the artists that have become the most popular, the artists that we know today, and the most popular music of these artists, it has been the ones that have incorporated the Nigerian sound and the Nigerian background, and either put Yoruba in the music or put Igbo in the music, not the ones that have the Western type of flavor. And I can name you a few one. I can name the one, the Burna Boy. Burna Boy, Ye, is one of his biggest music. That was a whole Fela thing. And I can name you the P Square. One of the biggest songs, Onyinye, is exactly the same thing. Right? And there are a lot of these artists that once they moved away, one of the biggest one I will tell you right now, Inyanya. You remember Inyanya or Inyanla, or if that's his name?
I do.
When he first started off, he tried to be very American. He tried to be very pop, and he wasn't going anywhere. His biggest song.
When he came out from Project Fail.
Correct. His biggest song, Kukera, is his biggest song. Right? Exactly. That is his lot, because that really recognized Nigerian culture. He brought it back home. And so these artists are learning today that if you're going to sound American and try to be all of that, you may very well lose us on this. We don't mind you doing that once in a while, but if you're going to base your entire sound on something other than what was created and what the culture is, you're going to lose us. And many artists have suffered for that, and they're recognizing it, which is why they're bringing it back home.
Ayo only gave few Ghanaians, not all, the opportunity to want to argue, and they never based their argument on fact. I remember when Mr. Easy was trying to claim Ghanaian, he got an award, hip hop award in Nigeria here. He won a category in Nigeria. He flew in from Ghana. He brought his friends from Ghana. I also know he went to school in Ghana. It's a higher institution. But when Ghanaians want to give awards, they never recognized Mr. Easy. They claimed he's in Nigeria. It was then he realized, I have been doing wrong to my country. The country that taught me this. Because what he went to Ghana to do was to study. And all the songs he was making is Nigerian sounds. And he got an award as a Nigerian in Hip Hop Awards based in Ghana. We recognized him because we knew he left Nigeria to Ghana to study, and that he started his music there does not mean he was playing Ghanaian music.
That's correct.
But when Ghanaians want to give awards, they completely neglected Mr. Easy. Till today, he never won a single award.
Yeah, there you go.
As person based in Ghana, because they claimed he is a Nigerian. It was then his eye opened.
Yeah, there you go.
It is better to be recognized in your country than for you to go claiming another person's country.
That's correct. That's correct. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for joining the show. I truly appreciate that. All right, guys. I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all for joining me on the show. I will be coming up with I'll be scheduling another show and having more of these conversations, because I think it's important that we have these conversations and we take control of this before it gets out of control, right? And you understand that it is important to do that, because when a music genre starts off, there's going to be what you call, all the noise out there. There are going to be noises out there that would attempt to really dilute or infiltrate that. It happened with hip hop. Once upon a time, when hip hop started in 1973, right after the first album was released in 1979, Rapper's Delight. When that album, after it took place, some group, George Michael and Andrew Wrigley, I believe that was his name, both of them started this new version of hip hop in London called the Wham Rap, right? And it was an attempt to dilute what hip hop was, the originality of hip hop. That was an attempt to do that, but it didn't go anywhere. It lasted for like a few years and it just died off, right? And that's what happened back then, because hip hop and the artists protected that genre to ensure that nobody diluted it, nobody took away from it. So when people from London tried to come up with their own version of it to dilute and take away from that, it died off. It didn't go anywhere. And so you're going to have to learn to protect your music genre. You're going to need to learn to do that, because you're going to find noises out there to take away from your success. Because historically, anyone that owns a successful music, like Afrobeat or hip hop or reggae or rock and roll or jazz, most people understand this, that it represents a culture. And there are going to be attempts from other people to try to steal this from you. So understand that, which is why we're voicing this out, which is why I'm speaking about this, which is why I'm making sure that we understand that when we even have people from Nigeria try to dilute our version of the culture or try to take away from our legacy, can't let it happen. So thank you all for joining me on this. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Jag minns ju den tid du gav mig life billar, yo. Nu vill jag kunna ge tillbaka allt jag inte kunna ge förut. Det finns ju ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för det, baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig, och det jag